What's going on, patrons? This is Rob, and this week you guys cast your votes and decided that you wanted me to discuss what would happen if two of the most powerful entities in their respective universes went head to head as we pit the Living Tribunal against the Spectre. And so as we do each time with these videos, we're going to go over each character in terms of their origin and abilities, and then decide which of these immensely powerful beings would emerge victorious. So the Living Tribunal was created by Stan Lee, Marie Severin, and Herb Trimpe, and first appeared in 1967's Strange Tales issue number 157. Now, in his first appearance, the Living Tribunal appeared to Doctor Strange and informed him that because he had determined that the Earth had a great potential for evil, that he's simply going to destroy it, which I guess makes sense because it's just easier than anything else. But fortunately, Doctor Strange convinces the Living Tribunal to spare the Earth by pointing out that the planet also has potential for good, and that as Sorcerer Supreme, Stephen Strange could be capable of maintaining the balance between the two forces of Earth. And this first appearance really strikes at the heart of the reason for the Living Tribunal's existence within the Marvel Universe as an entity that has existed since the beginning of time and exists as a judge committed to preserving the balance of the Marvel multiverse. In the event that a universe becomes unstable, the Living Tribunal judges the universe and enacts an appropriate punishment, which usually means that he just destroys it. The Living Tribunal is composed of three aspects: equity, vengeance, and necessity, each of which is represented by one of his three faces, and all of which must be in agreement in order for him to take any action. Now, moving on to the Living Tribunal's powers, it's really difficult to create a list that fully captures what he's capable of. And I feel like I say this a lot when it comes to these videos, but you guys really like the ultra powerful characters, so I guess that just kind of comes with the territory. But basically, the Living Tribunal is omniscient and nearly omnipotent, and is considered the second most powerful being in the Marvel Universe, behind only the one above all. Now, the Living Tribunal can manipulate reality and summon other insanely powerful cosmic entities like the In-Betweener at will. He was also able to turn the Silver Surfer into a god by allowing him to touch the void on the fourth side of his head, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but there are four sides to his head, but only three of them actually have faces. So the Silver Surfer touched the other side and became a god. I hope that makes sense. But the Living Tribunal can also manipulate time, being able to bring time to a standstill throughout the entire universe, as well as speeding time up to accelerate the death of a sun, which under normal circumstances would take billions of years. Now, in one of his most impressive displays of power, the Living Tribunal was able to negate the effects of the fully assembled Infinity Gauntlet, which is capable of altering the fabric of reality and pretty much achieving anything its wielder desires, and later was able to restore the Infinity Gauntlet to power. Now, in judging whether the Beyonder should be allowed to retain his omnipotence within his own universe, the Living Tribunal contemplates taking the Beyonder's power away, which suggests that he's capable of taking away power from other nigh omnipotent beings. Now, after deciding that the Beyonder was allowed to keep his power, he sealed him in a pocket universe that he could not interfere with other universes. The Living Tribunal is also capable of replacing one universe with another, as we see when he considers replacing the main Marvel universe with the Ultimate Universe, which he ultimately decided against. And finally, the Living Tribunal was able to absorb Protege, a being that had duplicated the Tribunal's power and attempted to usurp the role of the one above all. So yeah, the Living Tribunal is a being of nearly unimaginable power, and it's going to prove to be nearly impossible to defeat. But is the Spectre up to the challenge? Well, the Spectre was created by Jerry Siegel and Bernard Bailey and made his debut in More Fun Comics number 52 in 1940. Now, there have been a couple of versions of the Spectre's origin, but we're going to use the most recent of them for the purpose of this video. And so the Spectre is an entity that has existed since man walked the earth, and was once an angel named Astar that sided with Lucifer during the rebellion against God, but sought forgiveness for his betrayal. Now, as punishment for his part in the rebellion, he's forced to serve as the embodiment of God's wrath. Now, eventually, his wrath grows so great that he rejects the very concept of mercy, and from that point on, has to be bonded to human hosts, out of hope that his anger would be somewhat tempered by their humanity. Now, there have been multiple hosts of the Spectre, but the one that we see most frequently is a guy by the name of Jim Corrigan. Now, as for his powers, the Spectre is one of the most powerful entities in the DC universe, and like the Living Tribunal, is nearly omnipotent. He also possesses near omniscience, telekinesis, matter and reality manipulation, and can travel through time. The Spectre was able to pick up planets and use them as weapons, and by merely walking, caused earthquakes in the demonic realm. He can travel at the speed of light, and dodged a punch thrown by the Flash that was said to be traveling fast enough to knock a planet off of its axis. The Spectre is extremely adept at using magic and is more proficient than Dr. Fate, who's widely considered to be one of the most powerful magicians in DC Comics. The Spectre can also manipulate his size to grow up to the size of an entire universe, and was able to create a supernova in the palm of his hand. Even more impressively, the Spectre's reality warping is so advanced that he was able to create a nexus that forged all realities. The Spectre has broken the source wall, which separates the DC multiverse from the source of all existence, and his battle with the Anti-Monitor produced enough enough energy to destroy all space and time and ended up rebooting the entire DC universe during Crisis on Infinite Earths. With all that in mind, we can see that the Spectre is also a being of ridiculous power in his own right. And so the question becomes, how do we decide who wins in a battle of two characters who are both nearly omnipotent? Well, I think you guys really love putting me in the situation of trying to find out a way to decide which ridiculously powerful character would beat the other, because you guys do it all the time. But in this case, I actually think this one is a pretty easy call. Believe it or not, as powerful as both of these guys are, I don't really see the Spectre putting up much of a fight here. Now that might sound strange, but these guys are really not operating on the same level. While yes, both the Spectre and the Living Tribunal are able to warp reality and manipulate matter, and while both of these characters are tasked with issuing judgment from a supreme deity, the scales on which they operate are vastly different. While the Spectre judges souls as the embodiment of God's wrath, the Living Tribunal judges entire universes and can wipe them out with merely a thought. When we look at the feats of these two characters, it's really not up for debate that the Living Tribunal has displayed far more power than the Spectre ever has. And so I know that these two characters were presented as being analogs of one another in the Marvel vs. DC miniseries in the 90s, but I don't really think that this is an accurate comparison. It's always hard to put into words why one character is described as nigh omnipotent and could defeat another character that's described the same way. But I think the best way to put this is that if the Living Tribunal showed up in the DC universe, I feel like he could wipe out the entirety of it, including the Spectre if he chose to, with nothing more than a wave of his hand. But with that being said, guys, we're gonna bring this video to an end. I love you guys. You all are amazing. Keep an eye out for the poll for next week's video, and I will catch you all later. Peace.